Hi there, it's Todd Polke here and welcome to part 6 of What the Wealthy Do Differently. Now, I want you to finish this sentence for me, just whatever comes to your mind the fastest. Money is an exchange of... What did you come up with? For most of you listening right now, you probably came up with money is an exchange of time, because that's what we're programmed to think, and that's literally what most people do on a day-to-day basis. They go to work and they exchange time for money. They give up some of their time and they get paid an hourly rate, and at the end of the week, you get some money in your bank account, and the amount of money people earn is purely based on the amount of time they work. Now, the wealthy view this in a very, very different way. Money is not just an exchange of time for them, nothing to do with it. I actually did some research and I found out that Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in the entire world, earns $1.5 million per hour. Per hour is what he earns. Do you think for him, money is just an exchange of time? The answer is obviously not. Now, if we rewind, let's go back a little bit and we actually talk about, well, where did money actually originate from? Originally, it was, how goods and services were exchanged was just a barter system. You know, someone might have a pig and someone might have some corn or whatever it is. And those two things are of equal value to each other potentially, and then there's a swap that actually happens. It's a bartering system. Or maybe someone has some tools, or maybe someone knows how to fix something and someone knows how to grow something. And it was a bartering system and it was just a swap. One bit of value versus another bit of value. Then what that turned into, then the goods or service started to be exchanged for maybe like gold or silver, for example. And so the value was instilled in these particular stones, these particular rocks. Then it actually turned into paper money. And the value, that paper money, which actually isn't worth anything, was instilled with a certain amount of value, perceived value, because that's what money really is. It's just perceived value given a particular note. And it's then swapped for a goods and service. Now, money is an exchange of time. Money is an exchange of value. Now, if you were just exchanging time for money right now in your job, then the value that you are bringing to the equation is purely your time and some skill sets associated with it. But you are never going to build wealth if you are purely just basing it on how many hours you're going to work, because there's a limiting factor in that, which is the number of hours we actually have in the day. And also the number of hours that the job or your work or whatever it is you do allow you to actually work in order to exchange that time for money. Right? So it's a very limiting scenario. And unfortunately, because we're taught about this from word go, that a lot of people, they turn up to work and they go to work with the attitude of just exchanging time for money rather than going in there and exchanging value for money. Now, if you then switch this up, even if you are getting paid time for money right now, even if you are getting paid time for money, what I want you to start thinking about doing is going to approach work in a very different way, where you actually start exchanging value for money. You're going to work actually focusing on how can I add the most value that I possibly can to whatever it is that I'm doing right now. Despite the fact you're only getting paid a certain amount of dollars per hour, you want to be going there and actually adding as much value as you possibly can. And you want to be thinking about, well, what would happen if you actually turn up to work and you added the most value you possibly can? What could possibly happen? Well, number one, you're going to get recognized, okay? Everyone loves to get recognized. It feels good, right? It feels good. But the other benefit about getting recognized is that if there are promotions going on or if there are raises going on, guess who is going to get them? Is it going to be the person who's just turning up to work and counting down the number of hours until the day is actually finished, until the bell rings at 5 o'clock or whatever it is? Or is it the person who is going there and adding as much value as they possibly can to what's actually important to the company and the actual purpose and the mission of the company itself? The answer is absolutely obvious. The other thing that you want to be thinking about doing when you're going adding as much value, if there are ever layoffs comes around, who's going to get cut off first? You that's actually going in there and adding huge amounts of value, or the person that's just turning up and taking it for a ride for the number of hours they actually earn? The answer is absolutely obvious. I've had a number of clients that after coming to my events, listening to this same conversation where I spent a lot of time on this and teaching them how they can add the most value based on who they are as a person and a very strategic added value, that they've actually gone that and put a plan in place, and they've gone and taken it to their work, taken it to their employer, and they've been able to increase their incomes drastically. You know, one of my female clients in her early 30s right now, in the last 12 months, her income has gone up by $30,000 by applying this process. One of my other clients, Raphael, his went up by $15,000 in the space of just 6 weeks. Another of my clients, Ricardo, in the space of 3 months went up by $40,000. You know, these increases are not a small amount of money. They are absolutely huge. And you want to be thinking about how could that change your life? What impact that could that actually have? So you want to get out of this attitude of exchanging time for money. Go in there and add as much value as you possibly can, but be strategic around it. What is very important to your employer or the person responsible for how much you get paid or your raise, whatever it is? What's most important, and how can you add as much value in that area of your life, that area that's actually important, as you possibly can? Now, guess what? If they give you a raise, great. If not, then what's the worst thing that's happened? Number one, you've actually got a whole attitude adjustment. You've learned a whole lot more. You started mastering your craft at a lot more level, which is a great thing. And guess what? Someone is going to want someone and pay them a lot more money who's actually going in that process and going in with that idea of adding as much value as they possibly can. Or maybe for you, it's in a business. How can you add more value to your business and to your customers, and so you can increase your overall revenue base? Seen this happen time and time again. This is a critical mindset shift that you really got to take on board, guys. Really, really critical. And it's one of those key differentiating factors of what the wealthy do differently than everybody else, which creates the results that they actually get. Love to know your thoughts about it, guys. Put your comments in. Share this out. It's a very, very important message. Look forward to hearing from you and seeing you very, very soon.